Full Melt Show is intended for a mature audience. It contains adult themes, adult content, and sometimes adult language. Listener discretion is advised.
The Full Melt.
Are you high? What are you talking about?
This is the Full Melt.
Give me a break.
The Full Melt Show. A marijuana discussion about news, culture, politics, and lifestyle. FullMelt.com. Toll free. 844-420-TALK. 844-420-TALK.
Once again, broadcasting live from the PetPain.com studios in suburban Detroit. It is the Full Melt Show. Thank you for joining me today. Today, if you haven't noticed, if you really want to look at your calendar, it's Tuesday, August 11th, 2015. And today I can tell you there is chemistry afoot in the marijuana arena. And that chemistry comes from Denver, Colorado. The first place to really put any actual effort into bringing marijuana to the marketplace. I mean, they really did it best, I think, out of all of the states that managed to try and get this done so far. I mean, let's face it, Washington just coming on board. Oregon, still slipping and sliding on their slippery slope out in Oregon. It's better than what we got here. Don't get me wrong. I am not bad-mouthing them. I'm just saying the people that I think did it best are the people in Colorado, specifically the people in Denver. You guys are enlightened. You guys figured this out. Yes, there was some horse trading. People had to decide that, maybe they, don't want to argue the driving thing too much, even though they knew that police were going to refocus to driving now. Oh, you're all a bunch of people that are driving under the influence now. I mean, they really refocused there because part of what you got to do if you're going to prove somebody under the influence is initially, before they changed a lot of laws, because this was a problem for prosecutors to prove somebody's intoxication behind the wheel. First off, there's the sobriety check, right? You got to go, touch your nose, walk the line, heel to toe, say your alphabets. Okay, now say them backwards. All right, give me some numbers. I mean, that's what they would do. Test your ability to take a request and respond to it appropriately, distinctly, without mistake. Like any normal person should be able to do. Should. This is the baseline. This is to kind of see, hey, can you respond? Are your motor skills in order? Are your mental faculties in order? Are you on any substance? Is it affecting your ability to perform the task of said driving? What states have done for alcohol is they said, well, rather than rely on this, subjective test, because really it is a subjective test, but shouldn't it be? Shouldn't it be subjective to the person at question? Shouldn't it be subjective to the amount of substance used? Shouldn't it be subjective to whether or not they're capable of driving? Prosecutors found this, it's too hard. I got too much work to do. Oh, I got to prove every little detail beyond a reasonable doubt. How about if we just go to the legislature and have them just give me a number that it's easy to work with? That way they can test them for that number. They're either above or below it. I can weed everything out, so to speak, that way. And that's what they've done with alcohol. They've leaned away from the prove your, in sobriety model to the prove how much alcohol is in your bloodstream model. It works really well for them. If you're, it used to be 0.10 for most places. Now they've moved that number back to, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, or NHTSA, who's the federal authority over these kinds of statistics and figures. According to their survey and study, 0.08 is a more effective number for alcohol. So, if you're looking at numbers, you're going to have to, set a guideline, set this number, and then you're either above or below it, right? It's really easy to prove in court. We took a test. It said this. Is that number above or below this number? Now it's 0.08. So this is what they've done for marijuana now, but with a different scale, right? It's not 0.08. It's using nanograms of a measure of a substance. And so the nanograms matter now. So it doesn't matter whether or not you were actually intoxicated, whether or not you were actually disabled, whether or not your motor skills and functions, your driving capability was impaired by said substance, in this case THC. Rather than measuring that and determining from a realistic standpoint, was this person impaired or not, they used this number. And that's the argument, right? But see, Denver threw out that argument. They said, we're not going to worry about this crazy argument. Oh, good Lord. I just received word that Donald Trump has arrived in Michigan. He's at the Birch Run Expo Center. That's up near the Flint area. For you people in Birch Run, you want a good comedy routine, go out and check out Trump. He's in town all night to try the steak. He's there all night. That was what the amazing doodle-unk was in the background. So if you've got this per se, that's what that is, per se. That's what they call it from a legal standpoint, because that's what it is. It's a per se rule. You've got this figure that they can show is in your bloodstream. It doesn't matter if you're impaired by that figure. The figure is there. And the law, therefore, says because that figure is present, you are drunk driving. You are impaired driving. You're under the influence while driving. Not drunk driving, but in this case, driving under the influence of said substance, THC. So they threw this argument out, right? The people of Denver were bright enough to say, look, okay, this is a real problem. We don't like this. But if this is what we've got to agree to get legal marijuana done in Colorado, so be it. We'll argue that later. The truth will bear out later. We can go back and make that fight later. Let's get legalization done now. These other people didn't do this way. Colorado or Oregon and Washington, even D.C. did this differently. But that's not the news that I wanted to bring you. The news that I wanted to bring you was with relation to this other new model that Colorado is bringing to market. And this is what I love about places like Colorado, because they are the industrial breeding ground of entrepreneurs in America, especially in a place where there's a new marketplace open. And Colorado was so brilliant to get this done first because they get the prize, don't they? They get all this tax money. They get all the news coverage. They get people moving there, like it or not. In some cases, a lot of them don't like it because they'd rather be where they're at, but they got to go to Colorado because they got a kid with a seizure disorder they can't control. And they got no medicine that will help except turn them into a lethargic mop. So they rush off to Colorado. I mean, these people are contributing to their economy. They're paying bills there. They're paying taxes there. How can Colorado lose in this scenario? All the people who said Colorado would blow up when marijuana became legal there have been shown wrong. And that's what I'm saying. The people of that state were brilliant enough to stop arguing about that driving issue because it was a stickler at some point. There were people who argued against passing this legislation, passing this ballot initiative there back in 2012 because of that driving issue. No, let's do this right. We've got to address this. This is really important, and it is. But you're missing the point. The larger point is that they got it done. And for that, entrepreneurs like this now exist in the state. And I'll tease you about it now and tell you more about it after the break. Because we've only got a couple, part of having a radio show is having a big mouth to begin with, right? I mean, I could open my mouth and suck up the air from an entire arena. Because I've just got that much verbiage. I mean, I could talk all day. Making it interesting is the hard part. I mean, that's where the work is in something like this. So the interest is this. So I've been teasing a little bit. I'll tease you a little more as we run off to break. You've heard of wineries, right? You got wineries in California. If you ask people where the seat of wine is in this country, they're going to say it's California gold country. I mean, it's up there in the mountains and the hills where the grapes grow best, where they're happiest, where they produce the best tasting wines. If you want a decent wine in this country, you want to buy a California wine. If it's a domestically produced wine, there are some other great wineries, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying they're the gold standard, no pun intended. But now, Colorado wants to be the gold standard of Colombian gold. Because Colorado entrepreneurs have decided that the winery model is a great model to convert for cannabis use. And I think it's brilliant because the analogies, the congruencies between these two industries are phenomenal. I mean, when you think about wines, you think about all the nuances of wine. You think about its tartness, its sweetness, its little tones, the notes that comprise its characteristics. And they're exactly parallel to what you would find in a fine cannabis, especially one that has a very noteworthy smell, aroma, bouquet. I mean, if you ask just a novice, that wine smells, I don't know, it smells rather bitter. Oh, well, that cannabis, it smells kind of sweet. If you're looking for a refined taste, and if you're looking to bring up the value of something, you give it some, pedestal. Put it up there and speak about it from an educated and refined standpoint. And this is how the people in the wine industry not only educated their public about wines, in all their nuances, because there's so many different kinds. And even from year to year, from season to season, from country to country, these wines vary in taste, flavor, aroma, consistency, texture, context. All this stuff matters. And to people who are big into wines, it really, really matters. Now look at marijuana. Look at cannabis. It's much the same way. You have just as many jars on the wall instead of bottles. They need to be kept in a certain way, just like the wine. The longer it refines, the better it tastes. The more nuances, the more notes come out. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody doing the right thing in cannabis starts to come along and say, hey, this is OG 18 1997. I don't know if that is even possible. This is OG 1818, standing for the year 2018. It's going to matter from season to season, and if you kept marijuana around for a while, its value is going to go way up, unless it's too old. The story coming up next.
You're getting the full melt.
Got something to hide? Canalock offers discreet and effective storage solutions that destroy odor, so nobody knows. Canalock is a patented charcoal-activated bag that discreetly stores your marijuana. Canalock is made from the same material as military chemical warfare suits. Get yours at canalock.com. Visit canalock.com to learn more about no-smell technology.
Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571.
Get growing with GrowMax. Indoor, outdoor, beginner, or a warehouse full of Gavitas, probiotic organics, or huge production with Max Power monster aeroponics systems. We can help you rock it. YouTube GrowMax with 2 X's. Customer service is why we're blowing up. And I'm Dave. My cell number is 906-221-2111. We also specialize in electrical and HVAC and new double-ended bulb technology. 906-221-2111. Get growing. GrowMax.
Introducing Sacred Elements, a place for natural and alternative healing for the mind, body, and soul. Sacred Elements. It's one place, all solutions.
Registered, licensed, certified, ordained.
Sacred Elements.
Massage massage, hypnosis, Reiki,
Sacred elements.
raindrop, aroma and color therapy, body detox, ministry, life coaching, weight and nutrition counseling.
Sacred elements.
Next to the Sweet Leaf, 400 South Dordt Highway, Flint.
11 to 7 daily, closed Sunday.
Call 810-259-2570.
At Unilever, we want our brands to help create a bright future. Knorr is working with thousands of farmers worldwide to grow vegetables sustainably. Because we don't just care about taste, but about protecting the land for future generations all over the planet. Unilever makes some of the world's most well-known brands, and over 50% of our food ingredients are already sustainably sourced. Find out how working with farmers is helping to create a bright future.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
Radio show.
Thank God for what they call bumper music in the radio business. If you wonder what bumper music is, it's what you're listening to now. You know, I like bumper music because it's cool. I choose bumper music that's hip and, it's current. You won't find generally, unless there's some other specific reason, like a theme that I'm doing or something, where you'll find music that's old on this show. Generally, the bumper music here is going to be that wraparound stuff that's, when I say wraparound, around the commercial breaks. That's current. I think it's hip that way. I don't know. What do you think? Do you care? Probably not. I'm saying thank goodness for bumper music because, and normally I just interrupt the show. I just somebody's calling me during the show. I have this thing about people calling my cell phone while they know I'm on the air. It's like people, they're personal friends. They know that I'm on the air between this hour and this hour, being 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Doing a national syndicated broadcast, which is in development for release on mobile app. Oh, it's going to be so cool. In fact, that's why he's calling. So when he calls during the show, usually, I'll just put him on the air. He happened to call during the commercial break. And he's making fun. I'll tell you why he's making fun. I'll get to the story in a second. But while I got the chance, I'm just going to So this is the iOS version. It doesn't matter. It's doing the same thing on Android for some reason. And I don't know why. But see, this is the crazy world of development. Check it out. So here's the live stream as it appears now. I mean, it's slightly delayed, but you'll laugh when after hearing slightly delayed. Here is the stream. Is it going to work? Oh, what's going on? Oh, here we go. So let's see if it'll do what it's supposed to do here. Is it going to play? Do. It better do something. I'll be mad if it doesn't play. No, it's probably buffering because it's going to all be high speed. And I don't get it. What am I after? I don't see. This is what's. I was just trying to play for you what I did a minute ago, because I just got this app to download today. This test version of this app. Gosh, it's so weird. There's so much stuff you got to do. There's so many hoops you got to jump through for stupid technicalities to get this stuff to work. So we finally got it to work in. On iOS. It was working fine in Android the other day, and I actually think I demoed it on the air. But that little hum you're hearing is the app playing, and now it's not playing anything, which is weird because it should be playing at least a version of what I'm saying right now. And it's not, and I don't know why. I say to play, it does this. Go figure. Let me just look, because I've got the streamer. There's a thing that has to be working on the computer here. I just want to look real quick and see if it's playing, because it's kind of important. It says it's streaming, and it says it's going. So I know it's going to where it's supposed to go. This is just for it's going where it's supposed to go for you to hear me, but it's not going where it's supposed to go for the people that are listening to would-be app. Yeah. See, it's just not playing anything. And I don't know if it's that our developer, the guy that called me during the break, took the stream down or not. I know something's weird there. Go back home. I'm going to try it one more time just for the sake of, because I'm checking it out. This is self-discovery, folks. So if we go there, let me just go to someplace else. Go back to here now. Live streaming. Loading. And it's blank. I mean, it's deader than a frickin' doornail, isn't it? And then it stops. I don't know. You know what I'm going to do for just kicks and giggles? I'm just going to let it play and let it keep doing its thing because I think it's buffering at a high rate. I don't know. What it was doing a few minutes before the show began when we were test streaming is it was after I got the app to download on iOS, which took forever, finally got it to happen. It's just for it can only do it on my test device. I can't do it on your device, or I would. So you can check it out because it's weird. It's interesting to watch change. But it was playing what I was saying, but at high speed. Like I was talking like this. It was just, you could barely make out what I was saying because it was so fast. But I was speaking like a chipmunk, very high. It was like somebody turned up the tape speed. And I was going to play it for you because it's kind of funny, actually. But now it's not doing it at all, is it? And that drives me nuts. Refresh the whole dang thing. Let me just see if I do that. Like I said, testy. Okay, it says I refreshed. Oh, no. Let me go home and refresh. Let's try that. Full melt, live streaming, loading, and nothing. It's just silence. He must have shut the server down. He must have done something to shut that down because it should be playing right now. It's doing nothing. Robert, if you're listening, it's doing nothing. What am I paying you for? What is this show paying you for? Actually, he's paying for a lot. All right, enough of that. I got to get rid of this stupid app now. Close it down because now I'm so disappointed. It doesn't even deserve to be open anymore. What I was telling you about was the winery thing. That's what we were discussing. Let me get back open to that. So, no, this is not the story, though. How did that happen? Oh, I see what I did. Looking in the wrong place. Helps if you look in the right place. So, this is the story according to the New York Times today, August 11th. Wineries and breweries should brace themselves for some unusual competition. Colorado, which legalized marijuana for recreational use in 2012, will get its first Weedery in early 2016. I think that's amazing. The $35 million project, Green Man Cannabis Ranch and Amphitheater, the brainchild of Christian Hageseth, is set to open in Denver. Its greenhouses represent a majority shift because producers have largely cultivated marijuana indoors. There will also be a performance space, a restaurant, a rooftop bar, a gift shop, and, of course, a marijuana dispensary. Go figure. Mr. Hageseth, who formerly actually had founded the Green Man Cannabis Marijuana Company and chronicled his adventures in the medical and legal marijuana business in the book of Big Weed, it's called Big Weed, the book he wrote, says he enjoys his own product but shatters stereotypes. He's an ambitious entrepreneur with a background in real estate who sat down for an interview while visiting New York to meet with investment bankers. Again, go figure, I say. So here's the question and answer period. The following are edited excerpts from a conversation with Mr. Hageseth. Question: how did you come up with the idea? Answer: I was starting to build out our first grow, and it was incredibly expensive. I thought, well, this can't be the best way. We're growing indoors because marijuana has been illegal, so that's how it had to be done. I started thinking about greenhouses and had an epiphany. I felt like Michelangelo when he saw David in the marble and just had to let him out. Are you planning beyond Colorado? Well, I'm raising $100 million for a national weedery development fund to build our own first 5. We're looking at Nevada and Massachusetts and then California and Washington. I'm sure after we build ours, someone else will build one too, so we're working on them very actively. Why do you want people to visit? People are so curious. When they visit our indoor grows, they say, wow, I had no idea the plant was so beautiful, or it smells so good in here. I can spend all day talking about marijuana, but it would mean more if you have 30 seconds of a personal experience where you can see it, you smell it. Can this help people overcome preconceptions about marijuana? I have a lot of reasons to want to demystify marijuana. It's good business, but there are social justice reasons. We incarcerate more people in the United States than any country in the history of the world. We've turned into a for-profit industry where people of color are doing time for drugs. Question, if I go on a tour next year, will I hear about these political issues? I'm inviting people to these facilities to come in as guests. It's not about making statements about what's right or wrong. It's about putting marijuana back in nature and letting people make their own decisions. You wanted people to get high at the Weedery, yet they can't. Why not? We're like a liquor store, not a bar. You can buy marijuana, but to smoke, you have to be in a private area. So people who can drink at a winery or eat at your rooftop bar and drive home can't smoke on your grounds? I think it's a matter of time before this changes. In the future, the rooftop deck will be the smoking area. Do you think marijuana will be legalized at a federal level? Yes, and it should. We're on the leading edge of this, but it's baby steps right now. And that's the question and answer session. From the geniuses behind the Weedery. I mean, it's brilliant, isn't it? I mean, I think it is. If you were to create a marijuana business, and I'm sure you've pondered this, if you were to sit down and say, I'm going to make a marijuana business, how would you build it? I mean, don't you first have to find a question to answer, a problem to fix? Isn't this the basic recipe in any of these ArcView? I say, if you know what, let me explain ArcView. Because if I don't explain ArcView, you're going to wonder what the hell I'm talking about. So ArcView is a group of angel investors. And what is an angel investor? Let's define that a little bit. Angel investors are traditionally thought of as people who have money, who could invest in traditional places, but they seek out interesting entrepreneurial ventures to invest in instead. I think part of it has to do with eccentricity. Part of it has to do with, trying to experiment with something new when it comes to investment. Part of it's because some people have expendable cash that doesn't need to generate a return. It's just something they're doing as a sideline. All that aside, angel investors have some money they want to invest and seek out these unique, challenged businesses to invest money in. Because in the long run, if they invest in the business, they get something back out of the business. And if the business does well, as they think it will, then they've got a stake in the game, right? And that's what investment's all about. But it's not standard investment, right? Normal investment you go to Wall Street for, or you sell stocks for. These guys aren't selling stocks. They're selling a portion of their business. I suppose they're selling stock in their company. But it's not in the traditional way, is it? They're not going out and doing this through the market watches or anything. They're going out to and making one-on-one contact. So they're going directly to the guy with the money and saying, here's my pitch. And so ArcView has built this thing around marijuana pitches. And they only kind of invest in certain places. It seems that the investment capital wants to go to certain places. Other places it doesn't see so attractive. Like if you're just trying to stamp out a dispensary somewhere, chances are you might not necessarily find investment money through an ArcView type group. And I'm not going to make investment suggestions. I'm highly not qualified to do that. I'm just trying to describe what I know about ArcView and about what they do. And if you want to find more out about ArcView, it's simply, Googleable. ARCVIEW. Or it's VEIW, sorry. Whatever. So that's how you got to do it. VIEW. Yeah. So, it's weird when you get one of those. You ever get one of those in your head? You're like, it's a simple word. And you're like, wait a minute. Is it this way or is it this way? You got to run through the rules. Oh, yeah, it's this way. It's like you spelled that word 1 billion times, but then you got to run it through your head. Wait a minute. What is that? That's just weird. So, if you got marijuana money to invest, a lot of people would go to the stock market and invest in something like marijuana.com or, Marijuana Inc. Not marijuana.com. I meant Marijuana Inc. I mean, these guys have portfolios that just specifically describe what they're doing in the industry, and they're listed on the stock exchange. So you can just buy stock there in a company like that. These guys that are these angel investors, and this is what we're trying to describe here, come along and say, look, I understand that, bankrolling money for this purpose or that purpose, you're a medibles company, and you're making a new medibles product, but you need some equipment, or you need some lab work done, or you need some other, funding that normally would happen in the food industry and wouldn't be an issue. But since you're marijuana related, nobody wants to give you money. And that's where these guys come along, and they're called angel investors, because this business wouldn't exist unless these angels came along and decided to invest. And, it's like any other investment. Some of it pays off, some of it doesn't. This is what happens when you invest. This is why you make informed investment choices. But I think it's really cool when a company comes down and sits down and says, look, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm going to answer a problem, because that's part of what you do when you go to even on Shark Tank. Or what was that show called, who's Willie Mays, the guy that died, used to be Pitchman. It was called Pitchmen. It was a TV show called Pitchmen for about 3 seasons, about 2.5 seasons. The third season didn't go so well without Willie Mays. But one of the requirements of all of these guys, because those guys made pitches on television for products, it's the same thing. Shark Tank, Pitchmen, ArcView. The pitches that you're making have to work from a business standpoint. If they don't, the investors are not going to be interested. I mean, it's that simple. But this is the place to go if you're having money problems investment-wise and you've got good credit where other people would not necessarily invest in you. You've got a good chance of getting some money from these guys if they believe in your business plan, and it's not some plain Jane thing that's already been done 100 times over in different ways. I don't see you getting dispensary money from these kinds of organizations. I see you getting money for a unique and original product that has a chance of making some money if you could get it off the ground. And you could describe that methodology, each step, how much it's going to cost, how much money you need along the way, and how much you can recoup after your product's been built and distributed and you're projected. It really is complex, these businesses. So I love to see when you take a company like this company and they say, look, we're going to take an existing business model like wine and just transfer it because it's so congruent. It's so much the same. It's so equivalent. The parallels are all there. You can draw equal parallel lines between different facets of that industry. That's why the people in Colorado want to have and have been fighting for establishments where you can consume on site, because public consumption is still a no-no. It's one of the things they horse traded on in order to get the law done. People did not want to see open public marijuana smoking. They just didn't. I think this could be even said within our own group. Hey, if you're going to smoke, go smoke over there and smoke. Or go to a smoking place to smoke. But you can't do it out in public. It's one of the things that will change along with the driving thing. They will argue these things out later. They will hash this out legislatively and through other efforts later. But they got it done for now, right? Here, when you're talking about transferring one industry to another, the parallels are all there. You can just stamp it out. But the problem is, in order to have a weedery, you can't consume on site like you would at a winery. At a winery, you can go and do wide samples, can't you? Oh boy, see, I did a boo boo here. Yeah, we overtalked. We definitely overtalked. At a winery, you can get samples. This is what happens when I experiment on the air. You can go and have samples of wine. You can do wine tasting, right? This is a very common thing. Wine and cheese party. There's no open consumption issues. There's no consumptions with public consumption of marijuana, no issues with consumption of marijuana on a public level for alcohol of any kind. Unless you're under 21, then you can't do it at all, public or otherwise. It's illegal. If you're going to treat marijuana like alcohol with per se limits on driving, don't you think it would be really smart to be able to transfer these kinds of businesses from winery to weedery, where you can go into the weedery and instead of just having a purchasing experience, which is kind of like a foo-foo dispensary model, you can go and sample. You can go and pair it with food. You could pair it with other things, alcohol included perhaps, if you had an alcohol license. Why doesn't this make any sense to anybody? Oh, they're going to get high and drive away. Oh, isn't that what they do at bars? Well, yeah, but you don't want to duplicate the problem. It's already bad enough with the alcohol. Yeah, but it's really a different thing, isn't it? So people get confused by this. I mean, that's the other side of this coin, isn't it? If you're going to have a high-class dispensary, why not change it away from an alcohol model and instead of calling it a winery, like a weedery, like really pointing directly to the alcohol model? Why not give it its own distinction? The equivalent of a winery. But then also let you consume on site, at least from a sampling standpoint. No, that's really bad. Did I do the push thing? I didn't do the push thing. I'm going to need to do the push thing because the studio dog has farted. Alert, alert. Oh, God. Kill me now. Oh, if you're going to be in a soundproof booth, you do not want a dog fart lingering because this is a fart that would clear an entire coliseum. But I'm in a little booth. So this is the equivalent of being completely clam-baked in fart from dog. Oh, God. See, I have to breathe through my mouth now because the dog fart is permeating. See, I can't even talk right without being able to use my nose. It's permeating the room with such fervor that it is literally making my facial hair curl. All right, enough of that. Is it playing now? I hope it's playing. Oh, take me to break, please. Weedery, you do the math. I'm just saying. If you want to smoke your weed, you should be able to do it in a place where you're going to test it and in a place where you could smoke it. I would say that if you were smoking weed in here right now, I would not be able to tell. Because first off, the smell of weed would be overpowered by the smell of fart. And then even if I did smell, I'm not breathing through my nose, even if it was available to sample. Back when we clear the air.
Getting the full melt.
Get growing with GrowMax. Indoor, outdoor, beginner, or a warehouse full of Gavitas. Probiotic organics, or huge production with max power monster aeroponics systems. We can help you rock it. YouTube GrowMax with 2 X's. Customer service is why we're blowing up. And I'm Dave. My cell number is 906-221-2111. We also specialize in electrical and HVAC and new double-ended bulb technology. 906-221-2111. Get growing. GrowMax.
If you're like us, your pets aren't just animals. They're members of your family. Pet Pain CBD hemp oil drops are great for aging as well as active dogs and cats. Some people are apprehensive about hemp treatments for pets. They ask us, what are you smoking? Absolutely nothing, and neither will your pet. Like other hemp-based products for humans, the allure is all of the benefits of cannabis without any of the high. The CBD oil has shown to rejuvenate the bones, joints, brain, stomach, eyes, and heart. And the drops contain absolutely no corn, wheat, soy, artificial colors and flavors, or preservatives. Pick some up today. Visit petpain.com or ask for Pet Pain at your local pet store. Petpain.com. CBD relief for your pet.
You know, it's not easy out there, but it can be easier. And when it comes to medical marijuana in Michigan and chronic pain management, Dr. Bob Townsend, renowned for his patient advocacy and deep understanding of how patients and medical marijuana certifications fit together, makes it his hallmark to educate and provide the best holistic treatment for your condition. His knowledgeable staff makes you feel warm and welcome, and Dr. Bob makes you feel well. With locations across the state in Cadillac and Gaylord, Kalamazoo, Marquette, Mount Pleasant, Muskegon, Saginaw, Traverse City, you can't beat the convenience and feeling you get knowing you have someone on your side that cares. Denali Healthcare is on the web at denalihealthcaremi.com. Get answers to your holistic health questions or schedule an appointment now by calling 989-339-4464. Chronic pain management and holistic health answers is what they do. It's all they do. DenaliHealthcareMI.com. Get your certification and peace of mind now by making an appointment with Dr. Bob Townsend at 989-339-4464.
At Unilever, we want our brands to help create a bright future. Knorr is working with thousands of farmers worldwide to grow vegetables sustainably. Because we don't just care about taste, but about protecting the land for future generations all over the planet. Unilever makes some of the world's most well-known brands, and over 50% of our food ingredients
Can somebody give me a hammer?
sustainably sourced. Find out how working with farmers is helping to create a bright future.
I can't take it. All right. Somebody's fired. I'm just saying. Probably me. What happened? I have to look. Curiosity killed the cat. I think it was just a late-breaking production detail that got overlooked. Good Lord. I should be fired. I'm firing myself. So, back to this story. By the way, during the break, I was trying to see if, what was going on with the Wax app in testing. It seems that I can't even get it to play anything now because he's taken all the audio streams down, being that they're all in fast motion. I think he took the stream down, then he took others. He's working on it. I love to see a man employed, working on his stuff. I was talking to you earlier before we went to break about, who cares? Why is this doing this now? Why does all this stuff happen like this to me while I'm on air? Like, none of this happens all day long. And then out of nowhere, crazy shit. This according to the Washington Post at thewashingtonpost.com. Also, this story posting today about 7:30 this morning. I don't know why that's important, but it is important to me. If you're going to wage a war on drugs, you'll need to be outfitted like a warrior. That seems to be the rationale behind hundreds of police departments' requests for armored trucks submitted to the Pentagon between 2012 and 2014. Those requests, unearthed in a FOIA request by Mother Jones magazine, shed light on how the war on drugs has directly contributed to the militarization of local police forces in recent years. Police departments can request surplus military gear from the Pentagon through the Department of Defense's 1033 program, which doles out hundreds of millions of dollars in military goods to cops each year. The equipment includes everything from underwear to office equipment to armored combat vehicles. Really? What is it, special? I'm not going to crap my pants underwear because there's a guy pointing a gun at me? They distribute underwear through the Pentagon. Go figure. It says right here. According to Mother Jones's FOIA request, Pentagon says, yeah, we give underwear to cops. I hope it's not magic underwear. That's a whole different discussion. After Ferguson, when images of local cops training assault rifles on peaceful protesters from atop armored trucks flooded the airwaves, the program has come under increasing scrutiny. The Mother Jones investigation focuses on requests for armored combat vehicles. Those are arguably the most iconic pieces of police military equipment in the post-Ferguson era. Among the requests Mother Jones obtained, the most frequently cited rationale for needing an armored vehicle was drugs. Quote, fully a quarter of the 465 requests projected using the vehicles for drug enforcement, the investigation found. By contrast, police departments rarely cited hostage situations, terrorist attacks, or armed gunmen as rationale for obtaining the trucks. At least 7 departments explicitly cited marijuana in their vehicle requests, tying pot with methamphetamines for the drug that shows up the most often in documents. The 2012 year brought along Sheriff Tom Basenko of Shasta County, California, making a request for 2 armored tactical vehicles to be, quote, used during the apprehension of suspects in both marijuana eradications and during high-risk search warrant service for drug offenders, end quote. In 2013, the sheriff of Sumter County, Florida, requested 1 armored vehicle, partly because his office had located, quote, several marijuana grows, both indoors and outdoors, in Sumter County. Here's how other departments wanted to wage war on pot from the gun turret of an armored truck. And it goes into detail. Is it going to be hard for me to do? Yeah, it's going to be hard for me to do on here. I'm not going to be able to go into all that detail because I gotta make it bigger. Got to make it bigger. It won't let me do it. Oh, I can do it like this. So the armored tactical vehicle in Shasta County, California, will be used during apprehension of suspect in both marijuana eradication during high-risk search warrants for drug offenders. In Trinity County, California, the sheriff's office has applied for HIDTA designation due to the abundance of marijuana cultivation and trafficking. Additionally, The increase of marijuana production has resulted in an increase in violent crime. In Polk County, Oregon, quote, the vehicle will be used for the eradication efforts of those large-scale marijuana grows that are becoming more and more prevalent. In Charlotte County, Florida, rural areas in much of Charlotte County, many SWAT search warrants serviced in these areas for large-scale marijuana grow operations. In Sumter County, Florida, we have located several marijuana grows, both indoors and outdoors. Upon encountering many of these, we have located and found firearms to be associated. You know, up until just a couple months ago in Michigan, you could have found somebody with a paint gun or a pellet gun, and they would list that in these kinds of requests as firearm associated. I mean, don't you find that a little bit crazy? Don't you think that's a little bit pushing it? Seriously. The article goes on. If you want some more examples, you'll have to look up on the article because there are others in Cass County, Minnesota. Significant increase of outdoor marijuana grows within the county, listed as a reason for having their armored vehicle. These are tactical military vehicles. They're personnel carriers. They're heavily armored. They have a turret sticking out of the top to aim at combatants in time of war, not at citizens being served a search warrant. Clearwater County, Idaho, the MRAP will be used for drug and marijuana eradication. The nearest MRAP is 6 hours from us. Really, do you really need, I mean, this is a weed growing in a field or some weed in a house somewhere. Do you really need an armored vehicle to go pull down those hemp plants? This is the argument. Clearwater County, Idaho has a population of fewer than 10,000 people. It seems like an overkill to keep an armored truck on hand for the purpose of, quote, marijuana eradication, end quote. This is especially true when you consider that in recent years, the number of marijuana grow sites discovered in the entire state of Idaho can be counted on a single hand. But overkill's been part of the drug war since day one, hasn't it? Experts largely agree that harms inflicted by the way we wage the war on drugs, incarceration, police killings, gang fighting over black market turf, far outweigh the costs to society of drug use itself. The Obama administration has been smartly dialing back the rhetoric of policies of the drug war. Earlier this year, the administration even started limiting the types of military equipment that police departments can request through the Pentagon's 1033 program, But notably, armored vehicles are still available. So for the time being, at least, your local police department can still request what amounts to a tank to deal with a marijuana plot. I mean, Ferguson just erupted again. So I think it's highly, the people that put this article out at the Washington Post are pretty smart. I mean, and I've been arguing since the guy that was in New York City that was wrestled to the ground and killed for his cigarette selling. And this guy in Ferguson, and there's been others along the way. You know them all. You've heard about them endlessly. I've argued that this isn't necessarily just a civil rights issue. It clearly is. I'm seeing this the wrong way. This isn't a black versus white issue. This isn't a necessarily racial issue from the standpoint that it's being fed to people. In my opinion, some of it is, but you have to understand that there's an underlying current here that it's called the drug war. And when I made this argument a year ago, people laughed at me. Oh, no, that's such a stretch, tying the drug war to these unarmed people of color murders by police. Under the crazy auspice of, I was afraid for my life. I had no choice. I mean, this guy just gets murdered, shot in the head, and arrested by his own department and fired for a guy with no front plate in Cincinnati. He had drugs in the car. He was going to run. Not the question. The question is, did you kill him? The answer is yes. Judge, jury, and executioner right there at the side of the road. Hey, get out of the car. I don't want to get out of the car. I want to go forward. I'm going to pull the door shut, and I'm just going to drive. Bam. You're dead. This is the underlying thing going on. Do you see the connection? I mean, there it is connected right there. The dots are right there connected in that one story in Cincinnati. This guy's selling pot. He's got 2 pounds of it in his car. He's got scales. It's clear he's selling weed. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. He wasn't bothering anybody. He wasn't hectic on the road. He wasn't driving under the influence. He was going down the road without a front plate. A civil infraction. Rose to the level of murder. Police have used the drug war for a very long time to wage a war on the citizens of color in this country. And that's what I want to say is the underlying factor to all these riots, all this rioting that happens. Like I said, Ferguson, just gunshots erupted again at the 1 year anniversary yesterday on the 10th of August of the slaying of that young man, where they left his body in the open heat of August for some 5 hours before even covering it up. Like he was some, dead deer carcass alongside the road. Horrible mistreatment. But you have to understand that people of color, if I was a person of color and you pulled me over, I don't care if you're black, white, or indifferent, I'm going to be afraid of you. Because your history has said that you will use things like the drug war to quash us as a culture, as a people, to wage your war of racism through the drug war. We can't have direct race discrimination, so we'll discriminate against your group, against your race, against your creed, against your sect with the drug war. And that's what has welled up this overwhelming need to revolt in the face of police shootings across this great country of ours. More news next.
You're getting the full melt.
Got something to hide? Canalock offers discreet and effective storage solutions that destroy odor, so nobody knows. Canalock is a patented charcoal-activated bag that discreetly stores your marijuana. Canalock is made from the same material as military chemical warfare suits. Get yours at canalock.com. Visit canalock.com to learn more about no-smell technology.
Imagine a world where patients can use marijuana like any other medicine. The Marijuana Patients Organization challenges the status quo by helping our neighbors to enjoy a better quality of life. Visit the MPO at marijuanapatients.org and enjoy informative articles, engaging debates, and information about treatments, doctors, and dispensaries in your area. Over 50,000 people have registered at marijuanapatients.org since 2010. Join us at the Marijuana Patients Organization today, marijuanapatients.org.
Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571.
If you're like us, your pets aren't just animals. They're members of your family. Pet Pain CBD hemp oil drops are great for aging as well as active dogs and cats. Some people are apprehensive about hemp treatments for pets. They ask us, what are you smoking? Absolutely nothing, and neither will your pet. Like other hemp-based products for humans, the allure is all of the benefits of cannabis without any of the high. The CBD oil has shown to rejuvenate the bones, joints, brain, stomach, eyes, and heart. And the drops contain absolutely no corn, wheat, soy, artificial colors and flavors, or preservatives. Pick some up today. Visit petpain.com or ask for Pet Pain at your local pet store. Petpain.com. CBD relief for your pet.
Here it is. Here it comes.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
Radio show.
Major oversight. Testing. I hate testing. Can I test out? I just want to test out. That's what I'd like to do. I used to do that in school. I want to go down and work on some audio stuff for the show that I was working on for junior achievement at my local radio station. I just test out. I just say, hey, tell you what, can I make a deal with you, Mr. and Mrs. Professor? Mr. and Mrs. Professor, they were teachers. They were middle school and high school teachers. Hey, can I make a deal with you? Just let me, if I turn all my work in for this week, because we've already know what we're going to do. If I turn it all in, if I do all the reading, I turn in the tests and do all the quizzes, can I do that just like Monday and Tuesday? If I get it all turned in, could I Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, can I just get a pass and go down to the school, library? Because there's a chick down there, she's a librarian, that goes to college and is learning about all kinds of cool computer programming. I really want to learn how to program a computer. Can I go to learn how to program a computer? I would. I'd get all my work done. First 2 days of the week, all my work for the whole day, or for the whole week. Sometimes the whole month, I'd get it done in like a week. And then the rest of the time, I'd test out, right? Just test out. I want to test out of this business with the app. It's driving me insane. So little time left, and I'm wasting it. Oh, please don't waste it. I had this pulled up, too, and now I got to re-pull it. So there's this business in Alaska, right? They're one of the states that's passed recreational cannabis, or, retail cannabis. That's what it is. And so even in places where the people have overwhelmingly not only supported in the polls, but did so through the formal poll of the ballot box and legalized marijuana in their state. Cleared the air. I don't know what I'm feeding this studio dog, but he's killing me. He's literally killing me. Yesterday, he was outside barking. The day before that, he was in his box barking. Today, he's in the studio farting. It's a no-win situation with the dog. I mean, that's stomach churning. Good God. I'm gonna need a fart sound effect, so when the dog does that, I can just announce it to the... Oh, there you go. See, you can get a flavor taste like me. At least the one that I'm giving you is just descriptive. So, even in places where they've gone... I'm going to try and talk normal. To the ballot box, it's going to make me vomit. Even in places where they go to the ballot box and say, look, we want legal weed. Stop putting people in jail for pot. Let us go to the stupid store and buy it. They're still raiding people and arresting people and locking people up. It's really out of control. I think I played you a bit the other day. Did I play that? I thought I did, but maybe I didn't. I think I did. This is a story posted in the Alaska Dispatch News, dated yesterday. The Marijuana Control Board on Monday laid out its most comprehensive set of draft regulations yet for Alaska's fledgling cannabis industry, including a proposal that would ban marijuana social clubs, even as owners of existing clubs spoke out against any actions by the state that would shutter their doors. The newly created board is holding a 2-day meeting at the Atwood Building in downtown Anchorage and heard Monday morning from business owners who'd been sent cease and desist letters by the state. We're not criminal actors, Green Rush Events co-owner Corey Rorium told the board. 5 of the 6 businesses that were sent letters testified to a packed room that held about 70 audience members. Only representatives from the Alaska Cannabis Club did not attend. If you don't know about the reference to the Alaska Cannabis Club, it's that social club owned by the chick that was the TV news reporter. Did you see that where she was like, F it. She's doing a story on her own club. Probably trying to conceal at the time the fact that she owned the club, but then decided, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to reveal to everybody that I'm covering this story. I've been assigned this story by my news team to go cover on the TV news in Alaska about this pot club. Then none of them know that I'm the owner of the pot club. So while she's in studio talking about this story that she was assigned to go cover, she admits on live television that I am indeed the owner of said pot club. You know what? Fuck it, she said. I quit. And she walks off screen. So her name is Charlo Green. And I think she's pretty brave to have done what she did. I don't know that I would have chosen the path that she did, and I'm not going to condemn it. I'm not going to advocate for it. I'll just say that it was an interesting choice. Tried to get Charlo on the show before, and she had declined through agents. I don't know why. It seemed like she had bigger news to spread, and I've seen her in news stories since. But Charlo Green is the owner of the Alaska Cannabis Club. They did not attend this meeting that I'm speaking to you about now. The owners of two marijuana delivery businesses spoke at Monday's meeting. Discreet Deliveries owner Rocky Burns told, and Absolutely Chronic Delivery Company owner Michael Kreitz each gave public testimony. In weeks past, both Kreitz business and the Alaska Cannabis Club had been served search warrants by the Anchorage Police Department. At the meeting, Burns told the board that his business had also been the target of police raids. We're under attack, Burns said. The three marijuana social clubs that received letters was Scylla's Northern Heights, Potluck Events in Anchorage, and Kenai's Green Rush Events, told the board that they shouldn't be lumped together with businesses selling pot. Northern Heights manager Sarah Backlund told the board that, quote, there's truly a need, end quote, for social clubs in the community. And Green Rush Events, Roram, said that, quote, cannabis-friendly clubs are a much-needed asset, end quote. Roram said the state's argument comparing social clubs to bottle clubs, which are illegal under Alaska law, was not valid. He said he couldn't take the letter seriously. The state had argued that social clubs are illegal for several reasons. The club lacks marijuana business licenses. They fall under the definition of a public place in Alaska statute, and public consumption of marijuana is illegal. The state argues that the bottle club comparison is valid. Board member Brandon Emmett asked Roram what his understanding of a public place was, to which Roram replied that the, quote, intent, end quote, of Alaska's initiative was for marijuana to be, quote, sheltered, end quote, from those who do not want to be exposed to it. The definition of public, which includes businesses, has existed for years, Alcoholic Beverage Control Board Director Cynthia Franklin said. Later in the day, the board read through the next set of proposed regulations, including one that would specifically ban marijuana social clubs unless authorized under state statute. But since there's no explicit wording for the social club licenses in the ballot initiative, the legislature would need to add a license type to statute in order to this statute, it's not worded right here, in order for such businesses to be authorized, as the board discussed in July. Now, during a mid-morning break, roughly a dozen people participated in a brief demonstration outside the Atwood building, holding up signs that read, quote, we need social clubs, end quote, and election signs from November that read, vote yes on 2, the ballot measure that legalized recreational marijuana in the state. Potluck Events owner Teresa Collins said the demonstration was, quote, about making sure the Marijuana Control Board is paying attention, end quote. As the day wore on, the number of attendees dwindled. The board reviewed the first set of regulations, slowly worked through the wording of the local option law before diving into comprehensive overview of different types of marijuana businesses. The 71-page document unveiled Monday covers a wide range of regulations, outlined proposed rules for cultivation and testing facilities, as well as possible fines for illegal sales. Among the notable aspects of the proposed regulations, 3 types of cultivation licenses. Standard for a business operating with 500 or more square feet of marijuana plants. Limited for a business with less than 500 square feet of plants. And a broker license, which provides the essential business functions of a limited marijuana cultivation facility. Each facility would need an inventory tracking system for each plant that is 8 inches tall. Would need a tracking number. Packaging would be required to be childproof without any sort of images, including cartoon characters that, quote, target individuals under the age of 21, end quote. All packaging would be opaque, so the product would not be visible. THC limits on edibles would be 50 milligrams per package and 5 milligrams per serving. Marijuana testing facilities would each need to employ a, quote, scientific director, end quote, who has both academic and post-degree laboratory experience in chemical and biological sciences. Marijuana social clubs would be prohibited. The public can comment on the proposed regulations from Tuesday, September 10th. Instructions, so it's from this Tuesday to September 10th. Instructions on submitting public comment are available at the Alcoholic Beverage Control Board's website. Reactions to the regulations and the meeting were mixed. From my standpoint, there's probably a little overreach going on there, but less overreach than I expected. The director of the Coalition for Responsible Cannabis Legislation said, overall, I think it's really positive. Even in places where marijuana has been made legal, the dragging on to create rules and regulations puts people in jeopardy when they decide to open up businesses without those official licenses. People, play by the rules, stay out of jail, and smoke a joint for me.
The Full Melt Show is a production of TFM Media.